Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. I'm Nayef AdDamigh, and I would like to welcome you guys to the panel discussing the transformation journey of FinTech in MENA. Today, we have the privilege of having 3 designated speakers who have been in the forefront of this exciting industry. On the left, we have Mr. Hani Afaliq, whom is a chairman and board of directors of Tamwel Aloula, and a prominent figure of the business community. He has a span of experiences in finance, construction, and leadership roles in various committees and boards. In the middle, we have Osama, Alraee, whom a co-founder and a CEO of Lendo, a Saudi-based startup, offering Sharia-compliant financing for SMEs. In his leadership, he has been rapid growth for Lendo and innovative. In this session, we'll be exploring the stories behind the successful vendors, the challenges they have faced, and the innovative strategy they have employed to navigate the complexity of regulations and competitive landscape. I would like to highlight that we will be having a 5-minute Q&A session at the end, so please do not hesitate to ask any challenging questions. To start off, I would love for each of the panelists to discuss their origin stories. I will be starting with Mr. Hani. Please tell us more about Tamwel Aloula. How did it start? What's their origin? And how did it transform down the road?
Thank you, Nayef. Thank you for inviting us. Thank you for the team for making this great arrangement. I am proud and honored to be among the team, distinguished team here. The journey for Tamwel Aloula, I'm sure it is much, much older than the rest of the company the gentlemen run. Financing company, most of the financing company have started as part of the trading arm of most of the other businesses. We all used to be in the training, either automotive or other products, and financing used to be part of this as a facilitator for selling the products. In 2015, the regulator, Osama, has decided to try to regulate this industry. And we were one of the company that was under the regulation. Once we started this journey, we have built our strategy over what do we require for us to grow. And before that, we used to be in the automotive, which is mostly in the retail. Plus, because we used to be on the construction equipment selling, we used to be in the corporate side as well. So when we started with both, we had a business in both sides, and we decided to maintain the same strategy. And from that, we tried to build our system just to complement this. The journey started from that time, and we had the most difficulties that time is how to comply with the requirement of SAMA. We used to be in a business that wasn't at zero compliance, and we have to move. I'm sure the gentleman went through the same. It is working with SAMA is a big mandate. They require discipline. They require compliance. They require that you understand what you do and how you do. And from this, trying to build the system. Luckily, we were qualified enough at the time when COVID had happened. Then the boosting happened that time.
Thank you. As a leader of Tamwel Aloula, how did you manage the integration between traditional financing, as you mentioned, to proceed with a modern fintech solution? And if you received any support from the government?
We have all to agree that the regulator had gave us a lot of يعني support from the compliance to the requirements to be up to the standard required. Because in the finance business we have to we have to comply to so many things like responsible lending, QC, AML, so many applications we have to go through and to get ourselves ready, because if you don't go through this, you are not in compliance. We tried from the beginning to have our system accommodate the requirements. And as I told you before, when COVID happened, the government had gave a huge support to the business. I'm talking about SAMA, for example. They have deployed billions of money just for the support of the SMEs, and they wanted the financial sectors to be their means to reach out for the companies, and we were one of them. Alhamdulillah, because we were geared and we had the vision, we took the initiative and we grow the business, reaching out for our clients. During COVID time, we tripled the size of our portfolio to reach, mashallah, to over 3 billion during that period only.
Thank you. We will be moving to Abdulmohsen Albabtain. Abdulmohsen Albabtain founded a unicorn business called Tamara. Please tell us more about Tamara. We would love to know its origins. How did it start? Been a successful story.
Sure, Nayef. It's a story of addressing challenges of accessing credit to middle class and upcoming middle class. In Saudi, affluents access credit. Middle class and upcoming middle class do not have proper credit products. And so we looked at an amazing model, the grocery model that's in every neighborhood. And basically the grocery store provides the option to residents in the same neighborhood to pay later in 30 days. So you'd go buy a milk and then you would pay by next month when you have your salary. And that model still exists. It works really well. And the reason the grocery store would feel confident doing that is because they know their homes. And they know also that the residents don't want to lose access to such a service. So they are sure that they can lend. But this model is not so efficient. It needs to be efficient. So we took that model, we digitized it, and then we applied it to different sectors. Mainly e-commerce to work on the distribution, but it's about apparel, electronics, etc. And people loved it, especially middle class, upcoming middle class. They say, this is a nice credit product where there are no interest fees, no APRs, no compounded interest, no admin fees, no late fees, nothing. You have a product, a price, and you pay just that. And then you just take your product. And people really liked it.
I don't think everybody knows that you started Tamara during your time at LBS, the second year here. Please tell us, what are the challenges that you faced in the beginning? I know that you guys faced some challenges very much. And if you guys have got any kind of support from the regulators or the government, please share that.
The start was weird. So it was February 2020, and I was in London. Unfortunately, COVID came, and we were just quarantined in our rooms. And
you know, in Saudi, and you're located here in London, right?
I was in London, and my partners were in. One of them, Majid, is in Riyadh. Turkey was in Dubai. And our head of engineering was in Berlin. Our product consultants, one in Finland and another in Egypt. And the cherry on the top of the cake is I've never met any of them in my life. So it's building a company with strangers. I actually had lunch one time with Turkey, but we took it from there. And actually, the challenge of COVID, starting a business. So Tamara is a COVID baby. And although it's a challenge, it was wrapped up in a way that it has also many blessings, one of which many top talents were quarantined in the different parts of the world. So they had extra time to work on such an exciting idea. And that was amazing, because if we asked the same talents before COVID, they would never join. So that's one. Second is online was big. Offline shopping went online, so it was to our advantage. And many online merchants that saw their peers go bankrupt because they don't have online presence felt they wanted to be more innovative. So they embraced such innovative solutions of paying later. So they had inside of them a move that, hey, something is different, we need to do something to grow our business. And the third thing is actually by the infrastructure, as you mentioned. It's the amazing infrastructure in the Middle East, and especially in Saudi, helped us grow. Customers were familiar with doing KYC online, so they felt it's okay. And it's because of there are a lot of government-based apps to make sure that you take your shots, etc. And we use the same APIs to KYC our customers. So when they saw the same screen taking a buy now, pay later, they did that already, and it really helped us grow. So COVID was a challenge, but then the blessings were way more than the challenges.
Amazing insights from Tamara. We will be shifting gears to Osama from Lendo. Please share us your story. How did you create the solution that you have created?
So thank you everyone for inviting me and for hosting an amazing event. So the story started back when I was at MISC Foundation. MISC was started by itself, and we started like 10 employees. By the time year 3, we were 300 employees. And we worked primarily with a lot of local startups and businesses. And in the beginning, when they used to work with us, they finished the project, we paid them immediately. But what happened was organization grew. Same vendor who we worked with, they finished the project, and now they have to wait 3 to 5 months to get paid. It's not that we don't have the money at the organization. It's just our processes of procurement, PMO, legal, accounts payable team to approve all of that, to pay that invoice was a hassle. And a lot of SMEs couldn't wait for 3 to 5 months to get paid. On the other hand, my co-founder, he used to work for an IT company, and they were doing great, but they always had issues paying their developers on time because they have millions of riyals in receivables waiting with many government agencies. So we came together and put a solution together, how we can solve the pain that SMEs face in their cash flows, in their getting the receivables, so they can grow at their businesses. I think stars will align. Tawfiq was there. Sama launched their sandbox environment, which opened up for fintechs to grow in the country and propose innovative ideas. So we applied in our first batch of central bank to go and solve the SME lending space. It's a big problem. The market gap is more than $150 billion. And in the Vision 2030, there are clear targets to take the SME lending space from 4% of all commercial lending to 20% by 2030. And if you look at the space in 2019, when we were looking at it, was the solutions were you go to the banks, go to the financing companies, or the shadow market. And the banks traditionally shied away from SMEs. Very small lending product. The financial services, they focus a lot on asset-based because, as Hani mentioned, it was trade-based. So you will find auto loans, you will find CapEx financing, asset-backed financing, but pure receivables or asset-light companies, they struggle. IT companies, consulting, media, so many other SMEs, they struggled with cash flow. So all these came together. The central bank was there to support us. The need is unbelievable, and the market was available. Now, we had to innovate in our idea. How are we going to finance billions of riyals using our balance sheet? That means I have to constantly raise capital. So we thought about, okay, what if we make it a marketplace and we make it a peer-to-peer platform so we don't have to put any of our own capital and we allow any Saudi citizen resident to come and finance these opportunities. Because at the same time, my mom was asking me, like, I have 100,000 riyal, where should I invest? I have a lot of my colleagues will come and say, oh, I have a 10,000 riyal, 5,000 riyal, where should I put in? So the question for any retail in Saudi Arabia was, I don't have a lot of money, but I have some money, I want to invest. And I'm not sophisticated enough to go look at the stock public markets, look into other asset managers to take care of me, no. So the idea was how we can create an amazing asset class for any retail, very simple. You put in a minimum of 1,000 riyal in invoice financing. With 3 months, you get 4 or 5% return, annualized 15% return. So we solved a multi-problem in the society, solving the SME, solving the asset class, creating a win-win situation for everyone in the society and creating that impact. Now, what happened is quickly we realized the impact that we're creating. We never started the company thinking about that impact in mind, but immediately we saw that how the businesses were thanking us because now we're able to hire more employees, they are able to pay their employees on time, they are actually able to get bigger contracts because they were shying away from big contracts because they couldn't finance it. On the other hand, the retail were extremely impressed to finance. And on top of it was the timing. So we started just before COVID in 2019 by December, and we did not have a portfolio big enough to struggle with. So when the COVID came in, we were quite dynamic to change, and we were able to focus on sectors that were booming. So we started financing logistics, healthcare providers, supermarket suppliers, manufacturers who were booming in this time. So that's how our journey started.
An amazing story. So we would love to learn more about the challenges you faced. I know that you have fragmented stakeholders at the expansion growth.
So the challenges were a lot. First, as a market leader, when you're creating a new market, the biggest challenge is regulatory, which was one of our challenges. Central bank was supporting us a lot, but also there was a challenge and mind shift to someone who has been regulating 10 banks, 12 banks, 30 financing companies. Now they have to regulate hundreds of FinTechs. So the whole mind shift at the regulator had to change. They were treating us immediately like a bank, and we had to educate them, guys, we're not a bank, we're a startup. So for them to understand that, we're going to be doing multiple rounds, pre-seed, seed, A, that this was a completely new concept because banks don't do multiple rounds. So they has to educate them. The financing companies are usually run by family businesses. So they're, okay, this is not Alraee's business. It is a startup backed by venture capital. So how are we going to explain them that this is not a family business, neither it's a bank? These were one of the early challenges that we faced. The other challenges were educating the market, how we're going to educate a lot of retail and businesses about digital lending. They are used to filling out hundreds of forms, going to a branch. How are you going to convert that to complete a platform and digital experiences? So these were a lot of market education challenges that we faced in addition to regulator. And then I think the third part was attracting talent. The talent also is a challenge. We were not lucky enough, like Tamara, to go global, so we focused much more local in hiring our business side. But of course, engineering, that was much more broader. Globally, we were hiring a lot of engineers. So it's how we're going to bring talent from a financial services sector, but also educate them and uplift their way of working. So when we were hiring a lot of bankers, we quickly realized they're not very tech savvy. So Slack was first time they were using Slack. First time they're using Google's Workspace. A lot of first time things were happening for our employees. And so it had to be adaptive and hiring talent towards that. And if we hire people we hired across all the sectors. We didn't focus only hiring ex-bankers. So we went hiring techies, non-techies, and bringing that homogeneity together in the company so we can uplift everyone. So bankers were teaching techies how to do compliance, how to do things properly, and then other people teaching others how to actually use technology. So these were very diverse challenges that we had to face to grow the company.
Amazing insights. So coming back to you, Hani, on Tamwel Aloula. Tamwel Aloula has a variety of financial services. Please share with us the key strategies that have been critical in expanding these services, especially to the underbanked communities.
Well, I would take the first strategy, and the most important is agility. For being agile is the most important. You need to understand. You need to be in top of whatever is changing in the market, from sectorial, geographical, economical. We all see how dynamic is the market. Because we serve a lot of sectors, we have to be always in top of the list of challenges that's occurring. And we've seen now the interest rates jacked for a level that it's become very difficult for both parties, for you to borrow and for a customer to lend. And but again, beside seeing those challenges, if you are well understanding what is your strength, what type of customer are you serving, understanding their requirements, understanding their strengths and weaknesses, geographically and sectorial, you still always serve between those, and finding the right customer that can appreciate your service and you get the benefit out of it. Again, you have also to the product list. You have to make sure that you simplify it and put the variety. You try to make it as simple as possible so customer can be easy for him to understand what exactly you have in your shopping list, and also caring some product for his need. Probably this is the most important strategy we have to add to it, educating our customers for what is their responsibility toward themselves and toward their obligations. This is something that we all obliged to do. Of course, our regulator leave no space for no mistakes. We all understand that in our AML, in our compliance, in our system, we have to be in top, making sure that whatever decision you take, it goes within the regulatory system. And we have to say it clearly. From long time working with our regulator, all the time, most of those regulations protect you from yourself. Before even protect your customer from you, they want to protect you. So you want to make sure that your business survive, stays long, making sure that you don't do a lot of mistakes. So between those strategy and the regulatory, I think in our business, it's as you've seen, we have 3 different businesses, every one of them serving different client, different customer, different purpose, different tenure time. And my customer is not his is not mine. And the market is so big and diversified where everybody can work and still there is a room to grow.
Thank you. Coming back to you, Abdulmohsen, I know that you have a competitor, Tabi. They're providing, the similar service, I suppose. Please tell me what makes Tamara competitive, what makes it unique, and what differentiates it from Tabi?
I think in the early days we did something that's really good, and since the theme is about entrepreneurship, I think it's very important for every entrepreneur to focus on distribution. It's not only about the product that you create that will solve something, but it's also about who's distributing it, what do they get from it, are they incentivized enough? One of the things that we did in the early days is we understood from the early on that the end user is not our customer. In fact, the merchant is our customer, because the merchant distributes our product to the different customers. They see us, for example, if you go to Namshi, if you go to Farfetch, etc., you would see those merchants distribute for us. So we focused on that. We made sure that the merchants get the value. And the value is, if a customer usually buys with 100, with me, they're going to buy with 130. I'm increasing the AOV. We made sure that merchants are happy, distributors are happy. Not only that, we went to the extent of going to the aggregators of distributors. So how can we make sure that we have so many companies distributing our products? We went to the aggregators. So we went to e-commerce platforms like Sella and Zed, which hosts thousands of those distributors, the merchants, and we made sure 100% that our incentives are aligned. So we said, listen, not only about the revenue share model that you have with each transaction, they get benefit, but also let's activate Tamara only to your paying subscribers as merchant to increase your share of paid subscribers. And having enablers that are incentivized for you to grow, even if they take the 51% and you take 49%, is so much important than focusing on the product, because what we believe is the highest market share product leads to a best product, and not the best product leads to highest market share. This is what we believe, and this is what we worked on. Now, this is in the beginning. Our focus in the upcoming 2 to 3 years is to diversify our product suite in banking and in payments, looking at long-term financing and other products. But in payments, what we are doing is we're launching a pay-in-full product. What we want to build is the PayPal of the region in Saudi and GCC. And the idea is for affluents who don't like to split, pay also with us in full and get benefit of the buyer protection and the payment security. So we secure your card, we hide it from any third party. And if your order never arrives, you're going to be refunded instantly. So we take that risk. But so as Abu Muhammad mentioned, so it's important to know your customer, what do they want, and tailor payment and financing products for the different segments.
So how do you envision the future of Tamara?
We need to build more products, but stay within the same region. This is how we see it. We see the region has tremendous opportunity. If you take one bank in Saudi that serves almost only retail, their bank number 16 in the world. That's around $60 billion in valuation, serving only in Saudi. So the region has tremendous opportunity, and this is what we want to show to investors.
Thank you, Abdulmohsen. Coming back to you, Osama, the same thing. What do you think about the future of Lendo? How do you would like to position it? And
So I think to reflect on what Abdulmohsen said is, who's our customer? In a marketplace model where you have borrowers, small, medium businesses, and we have investors who are retail investors, as well as now banks, family offices, international banks, and other financing companies who also lend on our platform, not just retail anymore. We believe that our vision is that our customers are the SMEs, and the product we're providing them is the cash and the financing. Well, the other way to look at it, the customers are investors, and the product we are providing them are amazing opportunities that gives them amazing returns, risk-adjusted amazing returns. So what we believe at our core value is that our core customer is small, medium businesses, and we're serving them with cash. That cash could be from our balance sheet, from off-balance sheet, retail investors, and all of that. And we're going to serve both of them. Now, looking at that space, SME lending, earlier I mentioned, is the gap today is $150 billion. And so we look at SME lending and the needs of our customer and how we're going to serve them across their life cycle. So when I take a small, medium business, they have a contract with a large corporate. They start off with performance bond or bidding bonds. Then they go into contract financing. They have a large contract. They need the financing upfront. Then they issue an invoice, and then they have invoice financing, which we have today. And then they settle that invoice, and then they have other needs. So the way we're thinking about the full life cycle of the SME, how we're going to cover them from bonds to contract financing to invoice financing and all the other needs. And not just by that, but also think about the innovative sectors that we have in the country now coming up. The film financing, the tourism sector, the entertainment sector, the sports, so many different new sectors, esports, how we're going to build a financing need for them. So just give you an example, we partnered with Cultural Development Fund to launch the first film financing product in the country. We had to build a unique underwriting model that have never developed by any financing or bank in the country. So we had to go talk to people in London, in LA, in Mumbai, and see how films get financed. We never thought about that. And what's the difference in debt and equity? And we build underwriting model. How do you underwrite a film? What are the challenges? What are the insurance components you need? And we built such a model, very innovative, and we already financed now, I think, 3 movies and 2 TV series with our partner, Culture Development Fund. And we're thinking, okay, similar products. How are we going to serve tourism? Not just tourism in Tier 1 cities, but Tier 2 cities. How are we going to lend them? So we're building a portfolio of products that serves the most innovation and upcoming sectors in the country, and how we're going to serve their needs with different financing products. That's layer 1, what's going to happen in year 1 and 2. I think moving broader, we do believe that we will become the bank for the SMEs, and we will become the corporate banking to cover all the SMEs needs, not just from financing, but also credit card, debit card, account opening, other services. That's the long-term vision, we believe, at Lendo.
Amazing. So we'll have our last question for all of our panelists. We want to listen from you. What advices you want to provide for any inspired entrepreneur who want to provide any FinTech solution, specifically in the MENA region. So we will be starting with you, Hani.
Well, I believe try to if you decide to invest, come and invest in Saudi Arabia. That's for me my first answer. Not because Saudi Arabia is my home country, but I sincerely believe this is where land of opportunity and the good regulator and the supporting government, knowing that how market is growing over there, what are the list of opportunity, and then the number of growing SMEs number, and this from the micro to number of potential customers there are unlimited. Geographically, it's very big. All what you require to do is be patient, study the opportunity well, focus on one segment. And I appreciate the gentlemen when they have decided to focus on a business line, because as you focus, as you service better. Because if it's on the technology and FinTech, everybody can capitalize on this. It's not a competitive edge. Your competitive edge is know your customer, understand his requirement, know your supplier or your ecosystem. You have to understand where is its strength and weaknesses, and look for the best opportunity. And we'll be always supporting, inshallah.
Thank you. What do you think, Osama?
I wanna just put the reality in perspective. I think being an entrepreneur is an extremely difficult journey. It's one of the toughest decisions you'll ever take in your life. There's a high chance of failure, but knowing all of that, founders by nature are extremely optimistic. They have an optimistic view of life, of journey. They always think they can do it, and then they believe in it, and that's why they take this difficult journey. Today we had earlier on this VC panel, and they were saying, like, the lazy founders become VC because they cannot do this journey. It's a very difficult one. So I just want to prepare yourself mentally for that. But I think it's worthwhile to explore it and do that, because in both cases of success or failure, you go through a tremendous amount of learning and growth. The growth that I've faced in the last 5 years of doing this is unbelievable. On a personal capacity, on friendship, on network, on family, everything, you go through it through a big journey. I have a small request as well, since this is the last session.
Go ahead.
And we fly all the way here. I have a small request. For many people who are thinking about doing an entrepreneurship journey, at Lendo we have entrepreneurship in the residence program. For anybody who wants to do an internship, please send me on LinkedIn or take my email. And those who are thinking of moving to Saudi to explore financial service and finance and FinTech, please do reach out to me. So that's my request.
Thank you.
Thanks.
What do you think, Abdulmohsen? What advices do you have?
I think I always, I'm lucky to get to speak with many entrepreneurs with amazing ideas. And they're usually solving a big problem and they have just a phenomenal solution. But when asked, how are you planning to sell it? What's the distribution way? They always, they don't have a right answer. They say, it's a great product, people will come and get it. The product will not get sold. If you look, for example, at Google, and I'm going to leave the crowd with this information, Google spends $20 billion every year just to be the default search engine at Apple Safari. $20 billion. This is huge even at Google scale. It's almost a quarter of its net income. And this is huge because you could argue that a product as mature as Google does not need any marketing, does not need any spend, but actually that's not the case. And that's the reality. And this is where I see there's a huge disconnect. Distribution is very important. Plan for it, write it. It could be just one paper in your white paper, and it proves to be quite important.
Thank you so much. We will leave the questions with you guys. If you have anyone has a question, please raise up your hand.
Thank you so much for this amazing panel. I have two questions for Mr. Abdulmohsen. The first is that we recently saw some banks announce new financial products that may compete with Tamara. How do you think that would affect Tamara? And for the second question, we heard previously that Tamara is moving into being a digital bank. When can we expect that?
So, when it comes to competition with banks, banks are actually our partners. In fact, Tamara could not exist without any banks. So the way we acquire our money today is with a bank. And that's why I love FinTech and I love payments, because you will find stakeholders that are competing with each other but are supporting each other. That's almost the only industry that does that. You'll find the same bank that's offering payment and financing is acquiring for you. But so there will always this will always happen in payments and finance. So this is expected. We compete on experience. The way we provide credit is we only win if the customer wins, because our revenue is from the merchant. The way some of the existing credit products led by banks, some of them, they only win if the customer is delinquent. And that's how credit cards, almost 70% of fees are from late fees. So, I mean, that's how we compete on experience. We make sure that we minimize delinquency as much as possible. And to be honest, our goal is to offer products that customer would like. And as I mentioned earlier, we want to build products in payments, offering more payment products and products in financing.
يعطيكم العافية وجه جميعا. So touching base on the panel that happened earlier, and as a venture capitalist, I have to ask the question, how are you thinking about exit? Not necessarily as founders, not necessarily in the nearest future, but how are you envisioning that with the major developments that is happening on both the capital market and regulations around it and other things as well, from acquisitions, etc. And also I wanted to congratulate you both on the latest investments that you secured, خاصة Tamara يعطيكم العافية, and also Lendo. But I would love to hear from you on that note.
So for exits, we're blessed in Saudi because of the strong stock market, that almost any startup that has reached above $150 million valuation, they can eye an IPO in the Saudi market. So that becomes de facto exit strategy, unless you see a strong strategic partnership with another fintech, another bank, another financing service, local or international, who you can merge or get acquired by. So I think for Lendo's strategy today, we are eyeing an IPO in the next 3 to 4 years on a local stock market. And through that journey, if we see any opportunity that works amazingly for Lendo, why not to partner with any of the existing financial services?
Yeah, and we have been seeing some examples of, so it has happened. And maybe the more recent InsurTech one was Rasan company by Tamini, or Tamini by Rasan, and it has been super successful, super positive. So there has been an approval to be at the IPO, and we like that. We like the approach, and it's going to go there to have more and more examples that would encourage investors. I mean, I was so happy to the extent that my father is a real estate investor, right? He does not listen to the stock market and does not do it, but he actually said that he liked what he saw in Jahez, which is a food delivery company, and I felt positive because someone who did not hear about a startup and does not really invest in it had this positive feedback. So I think it's there, it's growing, and it has a positive outlook.
I believe that's all what we have time for today. It was a privilege of having you guys today. Thank you all for giving us the time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your successful stories. And we wish you guys a very successful journey down the road, especially with the IPOs and so on. Thank you all. Please give us a clap. Thank you.